Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California, and today I am going to do a quick video on my deck. I've had a lot of people asking what's going on with the deck, and it just didn't seem like it was that long ago I did the deck, but you know what? Maybe it was. And yes, that is a hummingbird drinking out of an ice cream container. So I decided to swap cameras because I think it's better that you can see what I'm talking about and I don't need to be in it. Oh, I haven't done anything here yet. This is the grass for the dogs. That's just wheat. Plain old wheat. You can get any wheat seed. See the wheat growing? It's really done. It should be pulled. I use that. I chop that and put that in containers when I'm growing things. Just chop it out. This is green manure. Look at this. This is beautiful. You use this for your plants. I'll just stick it in here right now, chop and drop. But I just will chop that out, put it on the bottom of a flower pot that I'm going to plant something in, and then put new wheat in there. And the dogs just love it. They come out in the morning and they nibble on it. So I haven't done anything here. Here's a piece of tree color that I just stuck in here. See, it's in a container. Nothing's been done here. As far as here, my parsley is all going to seed, which is good, It will grow okay in the summer in the shade if I can find a cool area, but parsley's not a fan of the hot weather we're in the summer. So, and there's an orange tree back there. Isn't that something? Coming up from the way I compost in place, and a little tomato. So I'm going to collect the seeds on that. The birds will get some of it. Yes, there's been birds on the deck, but I'm going to take care of that and get some growing. Lizards all over. They found the garden. This is that cress plant, the one I got at the 99-cent store. Upland cress. Look at this. It threw a flower. It's going to have seeds. And then the garlic chives. I really haven't done anything. They're still sitting in containers here. Another piece of tree collard. So I'm working on getting this done. So this will be as time goes on. I'm working on this all the time. You know what's really lovely? I came out the other day. I was doing stuff on the computer, and I came out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I watered and worked in my garden. I have a light. I turned on the light. The neighbors probably thought I was crazy, but oh well. I watered, I trimmed a little bit, did a few things. I wasn't out here long. But when you have a deck or a patio, you don't have to wander out. Look, I'm not going to go in the jungle out there where the garden is at 2 o'clock in the morning, even though... No, I don't think I've done it at 2 o'clock in the morning. You got scorpions running around and coyotes running around. But on your deck? No, you could do this anytime. And that's what's so cool if you've got a deck or a patio. You can't sleep or you just want to unwind. Believe you me, that really makes you unwind. I just stepped out of here and I watered and did things, and I think that's great. Oh, look at this. Onion chives. Isn't that cool? I don't have any in my garden. Something ate them all up in my regular garden, but I've got them on the deck, so that's really good. I'll collect those seeds. Mint. This, I will put a link in the description, so just hit the title if you're on a tablet, and you'll see a link. I'll put the link, but this is the way I do my compost in place now on the deck. This is just a container to grow things in. See, I layer. So that's just mint, chocolate mint growing in a chocolate container. And then I've got some of the purple kale, which is beautiful. It's doing really good. And I water that, and there's holes in the bottom of this, and there's holes in this lid that is going into this bucket. And see, I take the lid off, and I'll show you soon. There's worms in there, and I just drop kitchen scraps in there. And there's holes all over in that bucket. I've got a whole video on that. Now that, when I water the top plant, will run onto the lid, which will run into the bucket, and will water whatever's growing in there, the microbes. There's earthworms in there, just by collecting some native soil. Now I've got earthworms in there because there must have been eggs and stuff. And it feeds this container. Look how big this tomato plant got. So quick. Not only big, it is full of tomatoes. This is that new Bradley's Atomic Tomato, or Atomic Bradley, whatever. I think it's Bradley's Atomic. Look at that. Haven't eaten any yet. Oh, my flowers. They were not there yesterday. Wow, that's the roselle plant. I put a couple seeds in there. That's really cool. But that tomato plant is massive, and it's full of tomatoes. Isn't that something? Because it's getting fed constantly. Not only that, it actually can set its roots through the holes in that bucket and feed whenever it wants. And then, of course, it goes down in here, and I've showed you this. Got a little parsley there. Look at that. This I can collect. That's plant food, free plant food, and I can water this tomato plant, which is right next to it. And it's that easy. I can just take a scooper out of it. I could use it straight. Somebody asked me, should I dilute it? Well, you know, it's already diluted because I do still hand water in here. So you can use that straight out of the bucket. But if you wanted to, you could dilute it. It's either way. That would be your choice if it's set up, because it's not that strong anyways, because it's being watered and it's running. It's a cascading effect from everything cascading down. And again, I love layering. See, it comes out of here, it goes in here, and then I have a lid there so no mosquitoes can get in there. So everything here is doing really good. But you know what? I want to talk about something else today. Here is the other zucchini, and I believe they're both Black Beauty I have planted here on the deck. It's okay. See, it's little. It's going to start doing something. There is no compost in place bucket or container in here. The only thing I could do is make a hole and push a little bit of leaves and stuff in here if I want, which I've done. So it's okay. It's very slow. But a few weeks earlier, I had planted that one. Let's walk over there. And let me show you that all these here on the top with those black containers, that is simply plants planted in them. There is no composting in place there. There's no food scraps going in there. This is just containers sitting on a shelf. And when I water this container, there's holes there. It waters this container and it goes down. And yes, I do put leaves. I do chop and drop even here on my deck. So that I want to get straight. There's 5 containers. I wanted to count them. And all 5 of these containers in the middle do not have a compost in place bucket in there. Only both ends. That black one with the red handle and that black one with the red handle. Look at that with the red handle on this side. This is amazing. Now, I've got to get this off because if I don't, I'm going to lose a lot of my squash. Because look at the size in a container on my deck. Now this one is struggling. See, they're struggling now because this is my fault. You can't leave that many big zucchinis. This thing must weigh 2 pounds, maybe 3 pounds on one plant anywhere. It's too much. They should be coming off small because when they get a really big one, they put all their energy into the big one. And so this one so happens, it's getting so much food, it's putting its energy into this big one, it's struggling with that one. There's another one back there. And then there's a few small ones that either did not get fertilized or they just can't do it. It's got all these new babies coming through. So today I will be pulling off all 3, possibly even the one back there. Here is my compost in place container in there. I will take this off just to show you. Let's take off the mint because I water the mint, which in turn goes in here. Oh my goodness. You know what this is? I haven't looked. This is the roots from the squash. So I haven't put any food scraps in here probably in a week or so. So what the squash did, okay, I didn't know this. The squash sent its roots in this container, which also has holes, which is perfectly fine, but I'll probably dig that a little bit, put some more, I'm not even going to put it back. I'm going to dig this out, not all of it. I'm going to put some more food scraps in here, and then I'll put it all back together. And it would be something as simple as taking this and digging a hole and getting that in there. So whatever earthworms are there, unless they've left, they might be in the rest of the container. They can feed out of that. But see what the plant did? It sent its roots in here. It's not hurting anything. It's fine. See the squash back there? That's what I wanted to show you. Somebody asked me, why didn't you put a compost container, a little container in each one? No particular reason. I didn't. And you know what? I'm glad I didn't. Because I now can look back and say, maybe when I set up new ones, I think I will start doing that all the time. This is massive. This is unbelievable. I'll put it at the end. I'll cut them off and I'll show you at the end what they look like. So that is huge. And the tomato plant is huge, which proves those composting containers do work. So when you put the containers in there to compost in place, those containers, they do work. And it doesn't matter on size. This is a 5-gallon bucket back there, leaving a small amount of space for the plants to grow because it's, a big bucket with a lid. That one is a coffee container, one of those little coffee containers, the plastic ones, which is small, which proves size doesn't matter. Look at this. Size doesn't matter. So you got that zucchini that has taken off and has grown. I've already picked off that in the past already. In the past few weeks ago, I picked a couple off. But look at the one that doesn't have a container in it. And I'm not composting in place. I did when I first set it up. I did throw kitchen scraps and all kinds of leaves and stuff in there. But there is a tremendous difference between the two. So, if you're not in a hurry and you're not going to grow something that's a heavy feeder, you don't have to put it in every single one. Your greens are not heavy feeders. Tomatoes, I've got a tomato growing here. They are somewhat heavy, but you can get away without doing it in every single one. But pumpkins, watermelon, zucchini, all that, they're heavy, heavy feeders. So should you do it if you're doing a patio garden when you're going to put squash in there? I'm going to say yes. Look at that. I did an experiment without even trying. Well, and yes, even tomatoes, if you want to compare the tomatoes, look at the size. This is planted from seed. And look at how tremendously big it is, how tall it is, and how full it is. Tomatoes on both sides, all the way back there. And this, by the way, is romaine lettuce. So I want to collect some and leave a few for the birds that have been coming and picking because I want to get more lettuce seeds growing. And this one, no compost in place there. So we are talking a big difference, a big, big difference. So when you are setting something up, keep in mind that even in a container, it won't matter on the size. Look how small this container is. And all I have to do is dig a little bit of that up and put in some more vegetables and the roots will continue to feed. They're feeding off the microbes and everything in there. Look at that. And I've got a little celery plant, maybe not so little, in the same container. So can you get a lot of food? Look, 2 people? This is over a week's worth of food. This one, you cut it and you use the amount you want and sit it on a plate, the cut side down, and you can use it all week and you just trim off the end. Look how big that is. This is going to make a lot of meals for us. So I think that's fabulous. So this is basically all I wanted to show today. I'm still working on the back. And yes, that's a hummingbird flying around the ice cream containers. And that's cool. Let me see real quick over here because I think I've talked enough about that. I'm just getting the cucumbers set up and I do layer. So this way I always know it's wet underneath. I can water this little container there and it will keep my cucumbers damp. Here's the moringa. Some people said, where was the moringa? That's not moringa. This is celery. There's the moringa. It came up from seed. It's going pretty good. There's actually 2 of them, see? They'll take over. And there's my little cucumber. So I've got the cucumbers and the yarn. I picked that up at the 99-cent store. This is good, expensive yarn. And I just twined it around and see how things are growing on it. There's cucumber growing on it. It's not going to last that long, but it'll last long enough for the cucumbers. And it looks pretty. Some people said your garden didn't look that good. They want it to look pretty. So go get yourself some green yarn of any type. And look how pretty it will look. And then here is Malabar spinach. Look how it coils. Is that cool? That's Malabar spinach. It just took off. Oh, wow. I didn't see that. It's just going to coil all over. So, and layer. This is what I love doing. It doesn't matter what you put in there and what kind of container you do. When you water a container that's sitting on top, you don't even have to water the bottom container if you don't want to. And it will stay damp underneath there. And it helps both plants. It helps the one that's in the big pot as well as the one underneath that's in the little pot because it keeps it damp. It really, really works well. And that's tomato from last year that's making a comeback. There's tomatoes on it, see? That's last year's plant. I haven't even done really too much here. So that's it. The celery too is from last year. It died back. Gary went and dug out. He thought all the asparagus plants. Well, I guess he missed one. Look at that. And I might just do something with that. I'm going to leave that. Here's a little moringa. And the celery looked like it was dead. So I threw just some potting soil and garden soil in there, and it came back. So I'm going to leave the celery. Boy, I'll tell you, celery will live for many years. Once you have celery, it will go to seed. You can collect the seed too. You know how expensive the seeds are? And it just will keep growing and growing. So when you think it's dead, it just comes back from the bottom and it just keeps growing. So like I said, and that's all lettuce. I really haven't done much. I haven't taken the seeds off. This is Dinosaur Kale, a cutting that I put in there. See the bottom? And now it went to seed, so this is the size leaves you're going to get when it goes to seed. Because it's putting all its energy into the seed. It doesn't matter, I don't need it, so let it do its thing. It's holding up a solar light. Anyways, that's lettuce back there, more lettuce. A lot of the lettuce now does not grow in the summer. In the heat, it bolts. See how this one bolted back here? And that's okay, I can collect it. This is the seed. See the seeds? And that's why I end up with lettuce growing all over the bottom. But I do want to collect it. You can collect the seeds and you can plant them later on as the weather cools, or find a cool, shady place. Just throw it on top of a container and then walk away, and then you've got it growing. That's how easy it is growing. Let's look over here. I'm still working. That's oregano. I'm still working on all this. Oh, the oregano is going to go to flower. Here's my onions. You saw me do that back in April. You know, I'll tell you, I learned a lesson on this. I will be planting onions from now on. There is nothing nicer than when you're going to make dinner and you want to fry up an onion, to be able to come out here and pick your own onion. That has been the nicest thing. And in the garden, sometimes I didn't know where they were. I didn't know which were walking onions or whatever. In this small container, it grew so well. So many people came and said, "You're overcrowding them." Yeah, I did overcrowd them, but as I needed them, it didn't matter if they were golf ball size or baseball size. I just pulled them as I needed them. So this fall, I'm going to plant a whole bunch on my deck. Right now is kind of the wrong time to plant onions because, again, it's something that, as you can see, it dies back as the heat is coming, regular onions. So I'm going to wait, but it's just, this has been the greatest thing. And all the tomato plants are doing really good. I've got garlic chives. This is dill. Dill went to seed. I've got to get pickles made. I make the greatest pickles, and there's nothing much in it, just a little salt, and then dill, and I can use zucchini. That's what I'll do with that zucchini. I use cucumbers from the garden and zucchini, and Gary wants me to pickle some of his pepinos. So I'm going to do that with this. And here's more, oh no, this is parsley. And then, of course, more lettuce, and then mint. I've got mint everywhere. So that's basically it. So today all I wanted to show you was the difference between putting a little container in there to compost in place. And does it make a difference? It made a world of difference on 2 containers. Not just 1, 2. Yes, isn't that amazing? I have to, oh, he saw me. He thought, the camera lens was coming out. So he took off. They feed out of those ice cream containers and the peanut butter containers. They prefer them. They've got hummingbird feeders. I don't understand. They got hummingbird feeders, and so many of them prefer them. Isn't that cute? You see that? Let me see if you can see that. That is a hummingbird. He's sitting and watching me. What is she doing? And it's just the cutest thing, but they really, a lot of them prefer those containers I'm making. One other note before I end this, and then I'll put the zucchini, you can see that at the very end, is do as I say and not as I do. That's a really good saying to do. Do as I say and not as I do. When you go to plant some seeds or drop some seeds somewhere and you want to know what they are, write it in a book, write it on a piece of paper, mark the container somehow. I don't care if you take a sticky notepad and write down what you planted and stick it on your window. Your kitchen window is something I do. Because let me tell you something, you may not always remember. And I came here and I pushed some seeds in here out of a tomato plant. See, this is all tomato plants coming up from seed. Here's more. Here's my problem. One of them is sun gold, and one of them is these fabulous, like cherry tomatoes that are growing in the yard. I don't remember which is which. So I'm going to have to plant them both and see what happens. Had I done something as simple as writing the last container or the green container on the end, I would have known, those are sun golds. But no, I didn't. And I do it all the time. Every time I do it, I think, oh, I'm going to remember. And then it's like, no, which was which? Did I put the red cherry tomato in there, or did I put it in there? So make yourself notes. And I will have to, next time I come back and do it, I will have to make myself notes. This I know is midnight snack. I put a few in a pot. See the dark stem? That's easy to tell, but on these, I'm not sure. So notes are important. It doesn't matter where you put the notes. A lot of times, I'll put it on my kitchen window, a sticky note with, and it would have been that simple. The last container on the end, the green one, has the whatever in that. And I didn't do it. So I'm happy they grew. I just don't know which is which. So I think that's it. And look, I've got curly kale in here. Again, a lot of these are just cuttings from the garden. And I did buy a tray of some kale, so I'm not sure which is which anymore because I do both. But it's just been growing so good. And then if you need to cover a plant, you think it's getting too much sun, you can use an aluminum or any type of, you can put a paper plate on top or a little simple plate. Now I use these baskets and I just wire it on and it gives the plant a little bit more shade. This is some sort of sage plant. I think it's a tricolored sage. Yep, tricolored sage. I thought it was really cool. I bought one. I'm not real big on sage, but I should use sage more. And don't forget, all the leaves that don't look good, they're gold. You put them in a container. See, I've got a container down there. Save them, and when you're planting, you use that. You can also soak it with water, and you've got plant food too, but I've been using a lot of plant food from either end here. The water that runs off on both of these that I know have the compost container. So that's it. Oh, purple basil I stuck in here too, and there are some seedlings, some more squash. They're still in my paper cups. I'm just gonna plant them with paper cups and all in the garden somewhere as soon as I figure out where I wanna plant the zucchini. There's the seed packet there. Well, this I know, see? Because I left the seed packet there, but I planted some zucchini in there, and I've got to get them moved. And then, of course, more celery. So does it make a difference? Yes. If you've got a little container, please go back and check out the other videos. I showed you step by step how easy it is to do that. It makes a world of difference, and the container can be small. Somebody asked me, can they use a cottage cheese container? Cottage cheese container is going to be really small. I think I've got a yogurt container here. And that's a yogurt container. You know what? It's small, but let me tell you something. It's better than nothing. Absolutely. Make a bunch of holes in it. If you've got a container like this, a whole bunch of holes all the way around, drop it inside your container and start putting kitchen scraps and stuff in there. Remember, the top is always the top, and that doesn't break down, so you can put a handful of garden soil there. If you don't want to, you don't have to, because anything underneath the top will break down immediately. So it's whatever way you feel like doing it, but it breaks down quick. You go back, and it looks like all soil. All your food matter has been pretty much dissolved and eaten by all the microbes and the earthworms and all the other insects that get in there. It's not just earthworms, it's everything that helps the plant, but I am amazed at this. And that's the small one. Oh my gosh, in a container. Isn't that amazing? Somebody asked me, can you grow enough in containers to can? I don't can. I have taken zucchini, grated it up, put it in containers and froze it. Tomatoes, we have tomatoes here all year round, usually. So I don't can tomatoes, but you probably could if you thought about what you wanted to can. I don't see why you couldn't. This one plant is full of like hundreds of tomatoes all the way around they're growing. So you could, if you planned ahead as to what type of tomatoes you want to grow and how many containers you want to set up. So I would say, yes, you could. Here I'm trying to do a variety, and this is just, I mean, I learned myself how important, how valuable it was to put kitchen scraps right in with your plants. You could do it both ways. You could dig a hole and bury it. That would work too. But this, you have a little more control, and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to just dump it and forget about it, and it works. So I hope I've given you an idea on different things. And if you've got a container, and keep in mind, you can do this as well in the ground. You can put a lot of those compost and place containers in the ground if you're planting in the ground next to your plants, and they will get the same benefit as they are doing here. There's all different ways of doing it. Think out of the box. So with that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow, and I'm going to go pick those squash now. These can be spiky sometimes, so I like using glue. Oh my gosh. going to be a pain to get off. I'm going to start it and twist it. Oh, yeah. There's one. Look how beautiful that is. I might twist it. Sometimes twisting it is good. Two. And I am going to get that other one off. It twists right from the bottom, and that works really good. And I think I'm even going to, let's see, we're going to take this one off. Cut this one off too. This one's not going to grow anymore, but I can still either use it or I can compost it. And there are a couple more. I could take off the other little one. But that's it. Let me see if I can get you in there to see the other one. I'm going to take the small one off because I'm going to pickle it, but I want you to see how on zucchini, sometimes it's easier instead of cutting it. You just twist it. And it will twist it from the bottom and it will come right off. So either way, whatever way works. Now I've given a chance for the rest of them to grow. And some of them that, you know, it's too late for them, well, they'll just go back in here. Because I waited too long. You don't want to wait that long because it's trying to produce and it's putting all its energy into these big ones. So that's why you get them off when they're small. But this will make great pickles. This one I could cook or pickle if I want to slice it up. And these two, I think I can make really good zucchini bread. And Gary loves it in his enchiladas that I make. I make the enchiladas a little differently than normal, but it works really good. Yeah, my enchiladas, when I make them, I actually layer them. I'm too lazy to sit and roll them. So I just make it in a big cake pan and I layer the tortillas. I layer the grated zucchini mixed with a little bit of taco sauce or hot sauce or enchilada sauce, whatever I've made. And then you can put in another layer of corn tortillas and then anything else you want, meat, vegetables, whatever you want, and another layer and cheese, and that's it. I've already talked about that, but this is going to be great. This is over a week's meal for us. Again, have a great day and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody.